Hey, so what to do when you feel like giving up on your bookkeeping business? Now, usually on my channel we talk about a lot of positive stuff, right? It's like, let's start the business. This is what we're doing. This person's growing the business. This person's moving. But what happens if you're watching this video and maybe things just aren't moving quite as fast for you or as fast as what maybe you'd like, right? What do you do then? And a lot of cases, we're going to talk about like why that happens, kind of what to do about it, and really how to set proper expectations about your business and your growth, so you can really keep yourself in the game. Or maybe it's not the right thing for you, right? So I want to kind of give you both perspectives on when you should stay versus when you should leave. So first things first, right? A lot of times the perception to get frustrated or quit is really because of unrealistic expectations. So most people, and when I say like most people, I mean like just people in general. If you think about success curve, right? They talk about the 90-10 rule or 80-20 rule. If you look at like the top 10% of income owners, they make 90% of the income in the entire world. And regardless of how you feel about that, you might be like, income inequality is bad, or why should people have this much money and other people don't? I'm not saying that's good nor bad. What I'm saying is that it's what it is. And in order for you to be in that top 10 percentile, you have to think, act, and behave differently than 90% of people, right? Now, when we're starting our business, oftentimes we're from a corporate background. Maybe we've been indoctrinated into like the world system and how it kind of is, right? And you maybe are in that 90 percentile that's not, the most successful, and you're trying to get to that next zone of being the most successful, right? And when I say successful, I'm just talking in this particular instance about monetary success, right? You could be an amazing parent. You could, have a six-pack and be extremely like buff or ripped in the gym, right? But I'm talking specifically financial success in this video, right? Because this video, in a lot of cases, quitting is more about the financial aspect and the financial frustration rather than kind of anything else. So I want to kind of keep in this particular conversation inside that container. Now, one thing to note too, though, is if maybe like you live in a very cold state and you can't get out and walk around, or you're not getting as much exercise, so maybe it's like, I'm filming this at the end of winter time. It was 70 degrees 2 days ago. Now it's 30 degrees again. So it's like all over the place, but I'm not leaving my house today. Let's just say it like that, But if you're in a place like that, then getting some physical exercise and like getting like a walk in or walking around or being outside or in a warm environment, or even going to the gym, listening to really, really happy music could be very helpful for you. Okay, so that's like, let's assuming that you're doing that, assuming you're in good physical and mental condition, right? Now, expectations are going to be those things that really stop most people from making it, right? Because most people expect to get clients and get paid in the same time duration with which they get paid at their job. So let's say that you get paid weekly at your job. The longest that most people who get paid weekly can afford to wait is maybe like 4 weeks. After about 4 weeks, they're like, I would have gotten paid 4 times my job. I don't know exactly what this thing's going to work, and they get really stressed out. If you get paid every 2 weeks, right, usually they can do it's really about 2 to 4 pay cycles of whatever payment cycle you're used to is kind of what I see most people like start to tap out at. So if you get paid every 2 weeks, it's like generally after about 2 months or 60 days, you're like, okay, this is getting bad, it's getting hard, I don't know if this is for me, right? That's one reason why they say like people who are in sales generally tend to be able to run their business a lot easier than someone that's maybe from a different background, is because usually in sales, the only time you get paid is when you make a sale. So they're used to kind of that eat or be killed kind of mentality, right? Eat or starve mentality. And when you're starting your business, you have to understand like you might be a bookkeeper, you might be an accountant, you might be a CFO, you might be a CPA. Okay, cool. You might be a tax strategist. And that's what you do, but who you have to be in that first like 6 months to a year is you have to be a marketer and a salesperson first. Because it doesn't matter how good you are at those other auxiliary services, if you never get someone to come to the door, if you never get someone to give you any money, you're never going to have an opportunity to actually utilize those services. And you could say, well, Bryce, I could just work with the client for free, and then eventually they'll pay me money. It's like, yeah, no. Usually people that are looking for free stuff, like they're looking only because it's free. It's very hard to upsell a free client into services in a lot of cases. Not every case is like you will see it on a one-off, But if you were to go in and say, let's say that you were to go and get 20 people to let you do their books for free. If 2 to 3 months later you came to them and you tried to get them to pay you money now, if you try to get any reasonable amount of money, so we're saying like $500 per month plus or more, right? You're probably only get out of this 20, you're probably gonna get like 3 to 5, if that. Which that's not a bad thing, 3 times $500 per month, that's $1,500 a month right there. Okay, that's significant. That's meaningful income. Someone can, if you stay on that same course, that's what is that, about $17,000 per year. That's a good amount of money for a side hustle, right? So you could do it, but there's still, out of those 20 people, 17 people that would not have said yes to you. Now, if you were maybe going to try and upsell them, maybe on $100 a month, okay, cool. You might be able to get a significant amount of those people to do it. But at the end of the day, let's say everyone took you up on the $100, per month kind of offer. All right, cool. Now you're at $2,000 a month, but you have 20 clients. So that's a lot of work. Even if it only takes you about an hour a week to do the work, still, 20 hours worth of work per week. It's not going to scale well enough, right? So it's you have to make sure that you come at this stuff with the right expectations and do it correctly and learn how to charge the right amount of money from the start. But kind of back to what we're saying, right? So it's easy to kind of get discouraged when you're thinking, okay, I'm just going to do accounting services, and you don't really think about the other aspects of the business, right? When I was getting started back in 2015, I didn't really understand that aspect. I was like, okay, cool, I have a service, I'm doing it virtual, business owners all need my help, so I'm just gonna put it on my website and people are gonna come to me. It did not happen like that. Now, another thing that can really kind of cause people to be really struggling is that you're taking advice from people who are in that 90% about how a 10% income business should unfold. So there was a guy, his name was Travis, and he was potentially thinking about joining a mentorship program. Ultimately, we decided it wouldn't be a great fit at the moment for a number of different reasons. One of which was he just couldn't get the support of his wife on board, because she was from the start of his business, I think she gave him 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks she was like, hey, where are your clients? This is like a business. You're supposed to set up your business, get your LLC, and then be able to have clients, right? What's going on here? And he was trying to explain to her that no, you have to go and try and get the clients, and they don't just all come to you, none of them want to pay. And she just wasn't understanding. She was like, no, that's not a business should be like this. I've seen people start their Etsy business and all of a sudden they're making a lot of money. Or I saw this person online who they started an Instagram account. They have 40,000 subscribers next week because they went viral. Why can't you go viral? And it's just the way that most people think, and what keeps them in the 90% is that they don't understand that it takes time to build things, right? Things that are sustainable take a while to build. Now, when I say a while, it doesn't have to take you 2 years to build your business. I'm not saying that, but maybe a month. Give it 2 months before you really kind of objectively think, whether or not you judge it before you judge it. That's how I'd probably say. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people, if they start a business, they're always kind of comparing it to the thought process of what it was like when they got their first job. And that's kind of what Travis's wife was doing, right? You go on Indeed, you kind of put out your job feelers, and then you maybe take 3 interviews max, and then you do 1 interview, then they maybe call you back for a second one, then, depending on what level of job you're going to get, you either get the job or you come in for another interview. And from there, you work, then you get paid maybe every 2 weeks or every once a month, depending on what position you have, and that's how it is. Now you're just going. But in a business, it's not like that. You can go and do 36 consultation calls and get 0 clients. For me, the most I did before I got a client was 35. So I technically did 36, but the person who was number 30 ended up coming back a week later and saying yes. So technically I got 1 out of 35. But if I had been thinking back then, approaching it like a job, where it's oh my gosh, I put out 3 job applications or 3 business applications and no one signed up with me, I must be a failure. This is not working. This business model doesn't work for me. And I would have left a lot of money on the table. A lot of money on the table if I had thought like that, right? But that's the difference between, if you're going to the 90th percentile, you have to have a different set of mentalities, mindsets, and behavior patterns. It's the only way. The really that's really the way that's going to take. Like, it wasn't until I started changing my mindset and I started really understanding the sales principle and understanding like sales is good. It's okay to ask people for money. It's okay to, if someone says no, keep asking the same person for money. It's okay if someone gets irritated that you ask them for money, they didn't want to give you money. That's okay. It's not a big deal, right? It's all about, do they give you money or do they not give you money? I don't really care how they feel about me while they're giving me money, you know? Now, next thing is like really like you might need different skill sets. Like most people, and this kind of goes into like the last topic, but most people are so weak at sales that they're so weak at sales. And some people know like they're not very good at sales. Like those generally people that like get help and actually go and like get to the next level. The worst person when starting a business is someone who is bad at sales but thinks they're good. That's dangerous. Because then you kind of go with this false sense of confidence, and that's going to cause you really to lose a lot of sales, or you might get some sales but at a very, very low price point that's going to continue to feed into thinking you're a great salesperson. I once watched this movie. It was Captain America Civil War. It was like where all the Avengers were basically like fighting. They like split on two teams. And Spider-Man, the first time he's in this new age of movies with these guys, he basically comes in and talks to Captain America, who's on the opposite side, and he said, you know, the other guy, Iron Man, said that you'd be dangerous. And Captain America said, why? He said, because you're fighting as if you think you're right. You're wrong, but you think you're right. And that makes you dangerous. And I'll never forget that line. It was just such a funny line. Like every time I hear someone it's like I had this one person who was like an insurance agent. He was talking about starting his bookkeeping business. He's like, you know, I'm amazing at sales. All right, cool, man. And you ask him like how much money he's making at like his regular sales job. He's like, you know, like $3,000, $4,000 a month. I'm like, oh. And there's kind of a discrepancy there because if you were any good at sales, right, and you're in a like for insurance, it's mostly a sales position. You're probably making like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K per month minimum, right? Especially if you've been in there for any number of years, right? But that shows an unwillingness to learn in a lot of cases. So it's like you have to kind of be open to learning stuff. Like if you're not making at least 6 figures, you're not good at sales. Like if you have a sales job and you're not making at least 6 figures, you're probably going to improve your sales skills. I'm not even trying to be mean or like anything like that, but think about it. If all you do all day is spend all of your time talking to people about them giving you money and you're not getting a lot of money, like it literally means that you need to improve that skill set, right? And even if you do sell 6 figures a year, that still doesn't mean you're that good at sales, right? If you are good or great at sales, you're probably making 7 figures in a lot of different industries they have. Now, again, I'm not judging and I'm not saying that's common, right? I'm not even saying that I'm that great at sales. I'm good at sales. I'm not necessarily amazing or great, right? I'm not the top echelon. I'm getting closer to that spot, of course, but it also depends on your goals. For the goal level that I have, amazing at sales, right? Because I can hit that goal almost every single time. But if you're comparing and expanding it out to like people that are doing like 7 figures a year, it's a little different of a skill set, right? But you got to kind of get different skill sets than what you probably have right now if you're not already like doing 6 figures in some sort of either business or other like venture that you're doing, right? Now, next thing is you have to dig into like, why are you like even attempting to do this in the first place? Like, I don't think a lot of people really understand. Like a lot of people say like they kind of have these goals, but they're not really goals. It's kind of like stuff that sounds good but has no internal meaning to them. What I mean, so a lot of people are gonna say like, oh yeah, you know, my goal is to make like 7K, 10K, 13K per month. But then when you ask them like why 13K per month, they don't really have any reasons. It's like, well, so I can leave my job. Okay, what happens after you leave your job? Are you gonna get bored, right? But in a lot of cases, you have to really establish like when you hit that goal, what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to save $10,000 a month and live off 5? Are you going to put some money towards like your child's college fund? Are you going to take a bunch of vacations? Do you have like an ideal car that you have? Like for me, for example, the next $400,000 that I make, I know exactly where that's going. And I'm not saying that to brag or to boast or anything like that, but it's like I just know where the money goes, and that's why I'm able to keep pushing through barriers that other people would not be able to do, right? And you have to really think about it, like start journaling down, like what are your reasons why, right? When you start doing like these vision boards and you start really thinking about like, what do you need? Your goals might change. You might find out you actually need $20,000 a month to kind of reach the goals that you have. You might find out that maybe you don't need 20 grand. Maybe you only need 7 grand a month to kind of reach your goals because you're close to retirement, right? You have to really understand what that is and like start tying those goals to different things. Like maybe you want to donate more to your church. Maybe you want to go on more vacations. Maybe you just want to have like more time freedom, right? And in order to get the time freedom, it is just quitting your job so you can be able to just do whatever you want. But you have to know and like don't just choose some goal that you heard from someone else just because it sounds good. Like my goals are going to be different than your goals. You know what I mean? But my goals mean something to me, and that's why I'm able to consistently show up. I mean, think about it. Do you, like, I think on this YouTube channel, like, if you're watching this main YouTube channel for bookkeepers, like, I think we have, like, probably, like, 1,500, 1,700 videos out right now. Do you think that I want to make 1,700 videos for people that I've never met before who may never pay me or may never even work with me or may never even, like, leave a comment saying how good the video is? No. But I have certain goals and certain things that I want to do in my life, and I need to have an audience in order to do that, right? And that's the key, right? Like, do you think I like putting myself in front of everybody and sharing different things that I know? And yeah, you know, I know a lot of stuff about this business and about growing a business, but, you know, in the beginning, there could be people who are like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he doesn't know this. And, like, you know, I could have been embarrassed. People could have been, like, saying in my local area, like, oh, who's this guy think he is? He's making videos, right? But my goals were a lot stronger than, you know, the need to kind of be liked or the need to protect my, you know, image of myself. And that's the same thing, right? So also that's why I think you should, like, if you have a real reason to do this thing, stick in it. It's hard, it's emotionally frustrating, but it's definitely worth it. Like, it's so worth it to be able to, like, go and just, like, wake up and not have to rush someplace. Like, maybe to go take your kids off to school, okay, but even then, that can be fun. You're spending your time with your kids, you're relaxing, you're able to kind of do stuff with your life, or to be able to, you know, just go take a vacation randomly, right? Take your kids out of school for a week, you know, they might fall behind, but I mean, in this educational system, a lot of stuff that they're teaching isn't really that needed, you know what I mean? like talk about calculus. I mean, if you're going to go into engineering, okay, cool, maybe calculus. But, like, I mean, like, literally, for these businesses online nowadays, like, you don't need to, like, really know anything. Like, you just got to be able to, like, sell and just, like, get a basic understanding of stuff. It's ridiculous. Like, you can go to law and, like, be super skilled. Like, you can just have your kids, like, go to, like, law school and stuff like that without necessarily knowing a million aspects of math. So, yeah, you know, they can fall behind for a week, but they'll just catch up. Your kids are smart, right? And if you're in their life, you can actually probably do homework with them every single day to help them get ahead and help them move faster, right? So, I don't know. I definitely think it's worth it, but if you don't really have goals and you're just kind of like, you know, this is just something cool to try and, like, have fun and stuff, I don't necessarily know if it's worth it, because this business model is not necessarily something that you just side hustle your way through. You're not just going to make, like, 2-3 grand a month, because if you can make 2-3 grand a month, you might as well just keep going and get to 10. Right? There's it's either a have or have not business. There's not a lot of, like, people are just kind of straggling. Because once you start getting to 2 grand a month, you're going to start getting referrals, start getting people coming to you. You're going to start getting testimonials. You're going to have, like, just stuff just flows to you faster. So it's like once you kind of get that initial traction, you get off the ground, you're going to go. So if you don't really have big goals or really any reason why you should be doing this outside of, like, you know, just kind of dipping your toes in the water, then you probably shouldn't be doing a business. But if you have goals, if you have ambitions, if you want to be able to, like, have your kids, like, do this thing and, like, stay with you and, like, be able to actually spend time with your family, I'd probably start the business. Also, like, if you ever want help with this stuff, like growing these businesses is not the most straightforward thing in the world, right? Getting to that first, 2-3 grand a month is very, very challenging for 90% of people, right? So if you ever want some help and, like, maybe you don't want to do this stuff on your own, I would just invite you to click the link inside the description, either below the video probably, depending where you're watching this, and see if I can help you out, right? Like, it's just one of those things where if you don't want to put off time with your family, if you don't want to wait for life to kind of come to you, and you just want to be able to control this stuff, click the link. Let's see if I can help you inside our program. We've helped over 376 people start and grow their business. I'd love to see if I can help you as well, Awesome. Well, hopefully you have a good rest of your day. Take it easy. Let's enjoy life, okay? Have a good one.